Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Curtain. I'm Carly. I'm going to be the moderator again for today. If you're watching us live, welcome. And we would love to see you participate by sending any questions and comments you have into the live chat down below. If you're watching with us after hours, again, welcome. And we would love to see you send any feedback you have via comments on our YouTube channel, or you can also email us at info@majestictheater.com. And if programming like this is something that you enjoy and value, then we would love to see you go over to majestictheater.com and giving us a donation. But without further ado, I would love to introduce Sue and Danny. Hi, guys.
Hey there. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Curtain at the Majestic. I'm here enjoying my coffee. And hi, Sue. How are you? Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, Danny.
Oh, yeah, you bet. Hey, folks. Let's see, Majestic Children's Theater, I think they are streaming Mulan right now. You might want to check that out. And, all of the Majestic Children's Theater productions that we've streamed in the past are archived. And so you could go to our website and track down any one of them if you wanted to watch them. And you could do the very same thing with all of the episodes from Behind the Curtain at the Majestic. All right, so moving on. Sue.
Danny.
Hey. All right. Got a bunch of questions for you. First one. Now, how did you find the Majestic?
I think so. The first show that I did with the Majestic was in 2004. So although the internet was like a thing, it wasn't really a thing for me, super duper, not like it is now. I think that I found the Majestic because my husband and I had been in Memphis. We went to the University of Memphis, but we're from the area. And we had moved back, and I was looking for a theater to do shows at. And my husband remembered that some theater somewhere had done a production of Misery, and that it may have even been a musical, and that we needed to find it. And I don't even really know how we found it, but we did. And the truth is that we found the Majestic like almost right up on top of audition time. So it all happened very fast. And I kind of put together an audition, and I called the box office and made an audition appointment, and the rest is history.
And went from there, but you didn't get a chance to see Misery.
No.
Nope. This kind of, I could talk about a little bit about that. It was Christine St. Amant and Jim, I forget his name. I think he's in New York now. It was just a two-hander. And it's funny, it was a British adaptation of the book. So it had premiered in London initially. So they had a little bit of Britishism in there, it's kind of to work around, but
add a little British to that main story.
And Todd came up with a brilliant kind of marketing ploy one night. And it was let me see if I can remember it correctly. It was a night where we only sold tickets to women, and I think it was Misery Loves Company kind of thing. So it was sort of thing. We were hoping we would, maybe set up something where relationships would come out of it or not. But it was funny. We did kind of sold out.
Really?
No, I think we did. I'm correcting myself. So I think we sold, half the house to women and half the house to men. That was the gimmick, but it was Misery Loves Company is how we marketed it.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you consider doing something like that again at the Majestic? What show would you pick for that? I don't know.
It fits so perfectly there. So.
Yeah.
So you said both you and Michael are from the area? Where?
Well, Michael is from Ludlow. He grew up in Ludlow, went to Ludlow.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, both of his parents were from Ludlow. And then I'm originally from the eastern part of the state, and when I was in junior high, we moved to a small town in central Massachusetts, and I went to high school in Worcester, at a high school actually that was known for its theater program, and that's really why my parents sent me there. It was a Catholic high school. Holy Name Central Catholic High School. They did their biggest fundraiser of the year was the spring musical. Every kid in the school had to sell ads for the musical program, and there was like a competition, and whoever sold the most ads won I don't know what they won, because I never won. But my parents each took on 2 and 3 jobs so that they could pay my tuition to go to this Catholic school, because I just wanted to be in the musical so bad. I had taken a bus trip with my church to see Fiddler on the Roof, and I thought, oh my God, that's really a thing that I could do. That's like a thing that kids actually do. And so they worked really hard and sent me there, and I ended up at UMass, and that's where my husband and I met, was at UMass Amherst.
Oh, okay. In the theater program there?
Well, I was in the theater program. Michael had done his undergrad already, also as a theater performance major at St. Michael's College in Burlington. And he was directing. When I met him, he was directing with the UMass Theater Guild. He was done. He had moved back to Ludlow. He was trying to figure out like what his next step was going to be.
Sure.
We actually met in the audition room. I walked in the room, and there he was, and I auditioned for him for Neil Simon's Rumors, and he cast me, and the rest is history.
The rest is history, and 4 kids, right?
4 kids later.
Yeah.
4 kids later.
Including the latest, which is 6 months now, maybe even?
No, she's going to be a year next week.
No, sir. A year?
Well, yeah, she's my Warren Walt Whipple baby.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I was pregnant. I was secretly pregnant when we were doing the Warren Walt Whipple.
That's right. I remember now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was your first show with us, your very first show?
The Spitfire Grill.
The Spitfire Grill.
Yep, in 2004. And that's where I met Barb McEwen, who's so amazing. I just saw her the other day. We did this like online reading of a play with a group, and it was great. And Louis Manzi, my favorite stage husband of all time, and a Majestic favorite. God, who else was in that show? Vicky, what was her name? Vicky.
Yeah, Vicky Phillips.
Vicky Phillips. Jesse
Ray Serpenant, I think.
Who was it?
Ray Serpenant.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. He was like, yeah.
And
Jesse Sullivan, who was he was living in New York at the time, and now he actually runs a theater company back home in like Plymouth or.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, like the upper Cape, and I think it's in Plymouth. Or he was from Cavan.
Did you know him before? I mean, how was I'm trying to forget. I forget how it was that
he must have auditioned for you.
He came to us. I think somebody recommended him. I don't know who. I don't remember who that was.
Yeah. Like a couple years after we did that show, I went to, and I hate to admit it, but I went to the Olive Garden in Times Square with my mom and my sister, and Jesse Sullivan waited on me. And I said, Jesse, the sheriff. And he said, oh, Shelby, the Spitfire Grill.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, and Aaron Green. Oh, there's Spitfire Grill right there. There's Lewis and I.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an old picture, isn't it? When was that? You say, what year was that?
2004.
Oh, boy.
I know. I was waiting for an entrance for the holiday show, I think. I'm not sure. A show that I was in. I was waiting for an entrance, and I pulled my phone out and snapped that in the lobby of the theater because I wanted a copy of it. So that's why it's got a big light.
And so what are the other shows you've done?
So I did Spitfire.
Yeah.
And then the next show I did was Miss Saigon, which was, I don't know if you remember, but I remember very, very clearly. Well, first of all, I remember two things about the auditions. The first is I got to be a table reader for the auditions, which was very exciting for me. And that's how I met Ben Ashley. I had never seen him or met him. And he came in, there he is, all like chiseled and handsome. Look at that guy. And he came into the audition and he sang his face off. And I was like, what is this guy doing in West Springfield? And you asked me like if I knew any of the songs, and I get to sing a duet with him at the audition, and it was very cool. And then I had to sing my song for you for my audition, which was Ellen's Act 2 song, Now That I've Seen Her, which was my college audition song. I was infatuated with Miss Saigon all like junior and senior year in high school. And I was 6 months pregnant at the time of this audition. And I remember standing up in front of you, and we did the auditions that year just in the lobby, just outside the theater, because the theater was, I don't know what was happening in there, but we couldn't use the stage. And I remember singing, and, you know, I'd breathe and I'd work my diaphragm or whatever, and my baby belly would go up, and then I would breathe out and my belly would go down. And I remember everybody at the table, you know, I'm singing and watching you all watch my belly go up and watch my belly go down.
So,
yeah.
So you were pregnant in Miss Saigon. You're pregnant in the war in Walt Whipple. Do you have any other pregnancies you can blame on the Majestic? Or
well, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. The other ones I sort of you'll notice that there's a lot of time in between shows, and that's once I started getting overwhelmed with children at home, I had to take a break. Yeah. But yeah, Miss Saigon, and then I did The Nerd was the next show that I was in after I had my son, and that was more than a year after I had him. I think 2 years, I guess. And then I did the Full Monty, and that was, there's The Nerd right there.
There's The Nerd, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the Full Monty was like, you called me right before it was about to open. It was every actor's like dream come true. You called me and you're like, Sue, we need you. And I thought, oh, you need me. And filling in for somebody who wasn't able to finish the show. And that was great. That was so fun.
Did you jump in, or had we opened yet?
You hadn't opened yet. But I think there was only a week. There was maybe 2 weeks before we opened. But I think we were pretty much in tech almost immediately. So it was quick.
There's a quick shot of the Full Monty.
Mm-hmm.
With the boys getting ready for the final number, I believe.
Yeah, the final number.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
And then you followed the Full Monty with Next to Normal.
Yeah.
Contrast.
Yeah, right. Though there was a lot of time. I had another baby. So I had my second before, not too long before the Full Monty. She was maybe a year. And then there was a period of time in between the Full Monty and Next to Normal. But yeah, and talk about a contrast, right?
Yeah. There's Next to Normal.
Mm-hmm.
Screenshot.
Yep.
Do we have more of those from Next to Normal? Do we have the dance one?
I don't think so.
No.
No. We could probably find them if we looked real hard.
Yeah, I think Rick Teller probably might have one, because I'm sure we did production shots of that.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was there's Freddie Marion. Mm-hmm. I think that was his first role, wasn't it?
It was his first show, and he was so nervous, and he would be running lines backstage nonstop, running lines every chance he got. He was the best, though. He was the best. We were such partners on this show, because it was so physically and emotionally demanding. And I don't go in for a lot of that, actors have to feel a great deal emotional nonsense. I like to just kind of get in there and tell the story that the playwright wants me to tell.
Yeah.
But this one was it was a lot. It was emotionally really exhausting in a good way.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I have this role way, but it was tough. And it was great.
Yeah. I remember I was very reluctant at first to schedule the full Monty. Never mind direct it. And because I'd seen a couple productions of it that I thought were just not good.
You mean the next to normal or the full Monty?
Oh yeah, next to normal. Sorry.
Yeah.
And basically, I just said, kind of to myself, "Well, damn it, I'm going to direct a good one." So, but yeah, it was I was frustrated by that play, not by our production, but I was frustrated by that play because I think it's the kind of play that it's kind of easy to be dishonest with. I'd say, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And forsake the story for the music.
Yeah. Yes. I do.
But anyway, yeah, Full Monty, very proud of that show, I have to say.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
Normal.
Yeah.
Very proud of that play.
I remember at the beginning of rehearsals, that you basically expressed that, and that you had been reluctant to do it. But I mean, it certainly in terms of technical aspects it's a perfect show for the Majestic. The cast size was perfect. The scenic elements fit really. That was sort of a deceptively simple looking set, right? But it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And really, as an actor, it was so
functional.
So functional, exactly. And really had a lot of good opportunities. And so on the outside, it really seemed like, well, yeah, of course, the Majestic will do this show. This fits here. But yeah, it's a tough one. And you really pushed us to make sure that we were like digging in there and telling the truth and not living inside the and the feelings and the all of it, which is really easy to do, especially with a piece like this.
Yeah. And then your next show, there was a play I know a little bit about.
Mm-hmm.
The War in Walt Whipple.
Yeah. So have I told you that The War in Walt Whipple is my husband's favorite, period?
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Like his favorite Majestic show and potentially his favorite thing he's ever seen me in. He just, I loved it. We, that was one of those opportunities that you don't get all the time when you're an actor. Like just the most wonderful, supportive, loving cast backstage, everybody just doing their best work on stage, telling a really wonderful story that the audience loved. It was just about as perfect a theater experience as you can have. So thank you for calling me and asking me to do it.
Yeah, you got to play. You got to represent my grandmother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Essentially. Yeah.
I loved that show.
And then, well, we've also had you do some directing.
Mm-hmm.
And plus you appeared in the Home for Holidays show.
Yep, a bunch of times. The truth is, I'm not even really sure. I think 3, maybe 4 times. And then last year's Home for the Holidays show, I got to direct, which was really cool. And then I directed Love, Loss, and What I Wore in the regular season.
Oh yeah. No, there's a screenshot of Love Lost and What I Wore with Jenny in the middle.
Yeah. Yep. Jenny Wall in her hilarious stagehand role, who also had probably the best and funniest piece, I think.
Yeah.
In the whole thing. Yep. Yeah. Love Lost and What I Wore holds the distinction as the only play the Majestic has ever produced with all women.
With all women?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I think so. I mean, it certainly was at that point. Yep. Yeah, and like, look at those women too.
Yeah, you could be right.
Jairus and Kate Damon, Alexandra O'Halloran, Kyle Boatwright, Kate Rankins, Katie Sloan, my former student, and Suzanne, Jenny Wall. Such a great. Yeah, Susanna Apgar. That's it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I saw a production of Love Lost and What I Wore, little studio theater production down in Naples, Florida. I was down there visiting and on vacation, and I went with Paul McDonald, he and his wife Gail are been longtime subscribers here, and they're kind of snowbirds, and you know they live down in Naples during the winter, and so I went down there. And usually I get my vacation time like in middle of April when you know the last show of the season is open, and you know before we have to do auditions, and so I got a little tiny getaway window there, you know. Yeah. So we went down there and we saw a couple shows at the Naples Players, and one of them was Love Lost and What I Wore in their little studio theater, 100-seater. Now, truly, Paul and I were. And the theater was full; it was packed. Paul and I were the only men in that theater.
Yeah,
but it was charming. I have to say, it was charming.
Yeah,
you know? And so people had previously to that, had suggested it many times over. And I'm going, I don't know. But so we did. We went with it. It was a good show.
It was a good show. It was like a dream cast. And, the times that I was there in the audience, I more than once, maybe more than 5 times, people would say to me, I dragged my husband here and he didn't want to come, but he ended up really liking it, that it was something that was interesting for everybody, not just, ladies' night out.
Right. Yeah, that was the interesting commentary. We did hear that, a number of times. And, I think guys were just kind of surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you did was Memphis, you graduated from UMass and then went to Memphis for a master's, or?
No, I left UMass before I graduated. I was I was a kid and I was like, I don't need this, and I could just move to New York and I don't need to go to school. And so my Michael and I were dating at the time, and we moved to New York together. I did a part-time training program at the Atlantic Theater Company, and mostly waited tables, and it was really hard, and it was not what I thought it was going to be. And Michael wanted to apply for an MFA in directing, so he applied to the University of Memphis. He had a friend that had gone there and said it's this really wonderful, like, best kept secret little program. People don't know about it. You should do it. So he applied for that, and he got it. And we went down to visit, and I met the people, and I just wanted to go. So we went. I finished my undergrad there.
Mm-hmm.
And he got his MFA.
Got his MFA.
Yeah.
And then what brought you back to the East Coast from Tennessee? We
had a close group of friends that we started a little theater company with down there. A friend of ours is still a really excellent playwright and quite prolific. And, we were young and things felt sort of easy. And we had the ability to produce pretty quickly. And so we produced a number of his shows, like within a year at this, I don't know what you call it. It's like a communal theater space called TheaterWorks. And they were really good. They were really successful. We made a little bit of a splash, and, most of the group didn't want to stay in Memphis, wanted to go places, wanted to go somewhere else or whatever. So we decided to move, and we ended up moving up here. And then things just got really difficult, and it was not as easy as it was down there, and it was not as easy as we thought it was going to be. And so everybody kind of went their separate ways, and now, we have like people in that group that there's a guy who was a wonderful actor and dancer and dear friend who is now a doctor. He left and he was like, forget it, I'm going to medical school. Like everybody just kind of went and did the thing that they needed to do.
Yeah.
And we stayed, and my husband got a job at Wilbraham and Munson Academy running the theater program. And so we moved on campus here. And that's what brought me to the Majestic, because then that's when I did Spitfire, our first year at WMA. And we've been here ever since. And we run the theater program here, and I teach English, and I do some music with the students, and we live on campus, and we have our kids.
Yeah. All right, this is the obligatory question that we end up asking everybody. And do you know what it might be?
I don't think I do. I've been in some talkbacks, and this is a popular question.
How do you learn all those lines? That does seem to mystify, whenever we do a talk back, that does seem to mystify people. I don't know why, but
it does. I mean, I get people all the time asking me, if I say, I'm in this play or whatever, I don't know how you do that. How do you learn lines? I don't you have to. I mean, especially when you're working like at the Majestic, right? You have to, it's your job. We do it for the fun of it, because I really love working for you, and I love working at the Majestic, and also we are getting paid. It's a job.
Sure.
So I better do my job. I have different methods. I've actually used like apps. You can use apps and I have my acting students using this app, where you record all of the words and then you can run lines with your phone, right? But I usually will just get my husband or like one of my children who, 3 of them now can read, so to run lines with me, or I'll say them out loud over and over in the car, and then as I'm driving to West Springfield, pick up my script and try not to hit anybody while I'm going.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely like dance, as much as it's a muscle memory, except the muscle happens to be your brain.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I'm fortunate. It has never been too awful and difficult for me.
Yeah.
There are definitely times where I have done not as good a job as others, but I don't have too hard of a time doing it.
Do you have any kind of weird pre-show rituals that you do when you're in a show, or?
I eat bananas. I eat bananas, and that started I don't know. That started 10 or so years ago, maybe, but it really kicked into high gear. Like I said, Next to Normal was really physically and emotionally like a lot. I had a friend who is an opera singer, and she swore that if you ate bananas, the potassium would like calm your nerves. And when I was in high school and I would be in the musical, I would sometimes throw up before the show. And I, which is gross, but I think, a lot of high school actors do it, from nerves. So,
yeah.
A banana is a good thing for your belly.
Yeah, so, bananas are a good thing in general.
They are. Yeah. And in Next to Normal, I would have 4 bananas per show, 2 before the show and 2 at intermission. And then I would feel like I could do it.
How about, well, I know you've done some stage management also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way back when, before I was teaching at WMA, because my husband was hired here first, and I was acting. I worked at the Algonquin Playhouse, and I was doing shows at Seacoast Rep in Portsmouth, and I was doing shows for the Majestic, and so my job was really theater. So for the Majestic, I stage managed. I stage managed Jerry Finnegan's sister, the Jack Neary play, and Sandra Blaney and Steve Gagliastro was in it. And
Gags,
yeah. Fun fact, and I don't know if you know this, Steve Gaggs and I went to high school together in Worcester.
Oh, really? I know he's a Worcester guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was in the production of Fiddler on the Roof that I saw on the church bus trip. And he's not watching, so I'm just gonna say this. I got all of the programs that were left on the bus after we got back to the church, right? From all the people that had seen the show and just left the program around. And I cut out all of his little faces and I put them on my wall because he was so good. He was such a good singer and he was just so handsome and I just loved him. And I had all his little pictures on the wall. And I think I've told him that. But yeah,
I hope somebody's listening who knows Gags and they can just pass that on, or have him dial in next week and catch this.
Yeah. So yeah, I stage managed that.
So talk a little bit more about Wilbraham Munson and the program there.
Yeah. Wilbraham and Munson, we're a prep school, a boarding school. I for a long time now, I've been directing the musical in the winter, which is really fun. And I think we've done some really pretty exciting and good work. We have some theater classes during the day. We have theater in the afternoon. We have a middle school theater program, and we're here just trying to kind of get ready for this new school year and all of the uncertainty, right, that it's going to bring.
Yeah, gosh, yeah.
Yeah, we did all right. We did all right getting through the spring. We had gone on spring break before COVID-19 was really the thing, and everybody was really starting to shut stuff down. Our head of school, Brian Easler, is eminently prepared for all kinds of things. And this is something that he actually had a plan for. If something like this ever happened, he had a plan, and he put it into motion. So when we went on spring break, which was the first week of March, we started really shutting things down, and it was in a week and a half maybe after that we were on lockdown.
Yeah.
Which was earlier than other places. He canceled all of our international travel, our student trips, because we usually run trips over our spring break, and then at the beginning of the summer. And my husband has run a lot of those trips.
Sure, yeah.
About it. Those were canceled in February. They were canceled. Something was coming down the pike, and he was really in tune with things and paying attention, and we were the first school in sort of our group to cancel them. So we're in a pretty good place. I think we're kind of ready to move forward. We learned a lot. We learned a lot this spring in trying to get online and teach these kids online and stay connected as a community. And we've taken that work into the summer, and nobody's really taking a break right now. We're all working to prepare for the fall. So I'm kind of excited.
The school's planning on a full reopening.
Yeah, we're opening. We're opening in person, but we're opening in a hybrid model. So we have the ability, through all of the work that's been done this summer, particularly like the IT work too, we have the ability to stream our classes to, our students that maybe can't get here from wherever they are. So they'll be able to be on the computer, but in the live class with the kids that are also live in the classroom. And we are prepared for whatever needs to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So unlike the spring, we know what can happen, and we'll be ready, but we also have, we have COVID testing in place on campus, 2 different types of COVID testing. Everybody on campus will be tested a lot. We have the ability to quarantine sick folks. So they're really working hard to make it work safely.
Yeah. And then, things seem to change on a daily basis. So,
Yeah.
But
I know it.
What I know you've gotten involved a little bit, or maybe more than a little bit, with Ghostlight Theatre up in Holyoke and along the canal, right?
Yeah. Gateway City Arts, right on Race Street in Holyoke.
Yeah. Now is that venue home to another theater company, or
other theater companies have used it? So yeah, New Century 2 summers ago did Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf there. Did you get to see that production?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Kate Damon and Sam Rush and Alexandra O'Halloran and Robbie Simpson, all of our buddies, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing. Yeah, they used that space. And I think Real Live Theater, which is out of Northampton, they've used the space. But Ghostlight is the resident theater company at Gateway. And we do...
Well, I don't know much about Ghostlight at all.
It's a small community theater company. And we have done musicals. Like, we were in the middle of rehearsing for Fun Home, which is a musical, when all of this hit and we had to shut down rehearsals. But, primarily straight theater, and trying to do, it feels to me often like we're trying to do the kind of theater that we could do like when we were in college and we didn't have to worry about whether we were going to like alienate the audience with, like we did The Pillow Man, the Martin McDonagh play, which is violent and awful and smart and interesting, and but not everybody's cup of tea. So I think that it's a small company that has the opportunity to kind of take some artistic risks.
Adventurous,
sure.
Yeah. How about your kids? Are any of your kids involved in the theater?
Yeah.
You can brag there, Mama.
So my daughter Camille, who is 11, she'll be going into 6th grade this year here at Wilbraham and Munson. A few years ago, to go back, when I was in high school, I worked with a community theater company that actually like worked in my high school, and all of these families would do shows together, right? Like we did the Music Man and we did Oklahoma, and these families would be in them together. And I always thought it was the coolest thing. So a few years ago, there was a production of Annie that Arena Civic Theater was doing. And my friend Megan Healy, who also works with Ghostlight, was directing it. And so I said to my daughter, Camille, let's go do Annie. And listen, Danny, all the kids were lovely and adorable and great. They were lovely. And my kid was like bitten so hard, but I mean, really, she was probably always bitten by the bug, because, you know, they come by it honestly. So anyway, last year, Camille auditioned for and won the title role of Matilda in Matilda the Musical with the Opera House Players, and was really spectacular, like really great. Really great. You know, and they also play the violin and play the trumpet and sing in chorus, and like all around artistically awesome kid.
The gene pool, right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some comments we got here. Here's one from Todd. You know, we're talking about Misery again, right?
Yeah.
And he says it was a singles night, and so every other seat was male, female. So that's how we did it in the box office, right?
So I would really like, is there any way that we can, Todd, is there any way that we can get like a spreadsheet of all of those people, like go back and find out who they were and contact them to find out if there are any like real love connections? If there are any like misery babies out there?
I'm not sure about that, but I know that there were some people who, women who requested seat changes at the intermission. there was a few of those. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Hilarious.
And here's one from Cliff. His comment is, the cake became famous among the musicians.
Yes, the cake, right from the picture. Yeah. Stephen Pettit, right, your production stage manager, he made that cake. And it looked, I mean, it was beautiful and it looked really, really real. And I think that the cake was backstage for quite a while after the show closed, because I would get emails from, like, Rick Teller emailed me once and he was like, I'm here taking photos and I want you to know the cake is still here. But yeah, everybody loved that cake. Poor sad cake. Nobody ate it.
Yeah, maybe it may even still be on the shelf somewhere.
I bet.
Where our props are.
I bet.
Yeah. That's funny. Here's a question from Donna Fitz. Sue, what was your favorite play or holiday show at the Majestic? Well, we kind of went over that, but
yeah, that's really hard, Donna. That's really hard because, you know, I would say Spitfire because it was the first and it was really a wonderful experience. But then, like, I got to do Miss Saigon, which was my dream role, and I thought that production was so amazing and so ambitious and so great. But, you know, and I loved them all. I loved them all. Next to Normal was probably where I felt the most accomplished, right? I really had to, like, climb a mountain for that one, and I felt really good about it when it was over. But I did about everything. I love doing the holiday show. The holiday show is my favorite thing that happens every year because it's a Christmas party with your best friends.
There's a holiday show. It's from this
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the group that I directed this year.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I love the holiday show. It's the most fun.
So we don't have any questions from the audience, but, you know, me being a stage manager myself, I'd love to hear about any stage bloopers that happened. Can you think of any?
I was just going to ask about stage bloopers.
Or you really see, we're connected.
I wasn't skipping over that, Carly. I wasn't letting that one go.
So I've been pregnant quite a few times, and we talked a lot about when I had my first child, and I auditioned for Miss Saigon and I was pregnant, And then we did the show, and he was 7 months old, and he was exclusively breastfed. And we tried to get him to take formula while he was home with my husband, because, you know, that show, I don't remember. Did that show extend? I mean, it was at least 6 weeks.
Oh yeah. No, I think it extended.
Yeah. So, you know, it was a long time, and it was my first baby, and my big song was in Act 2. And this happened more than once, honestly. I got out, and Ben Ashley and I are singing to each other, and I leaked all over my costume and embarrassed the heck out of Ben Ashley. And I wasn't embarrassed because it's hilarious. But yeah, that's probably my best. And so then my husband started coming. He would come to the theater, and we live in Wilbraham, so it's like a half an hour with a baby every night. He would come to the theater right before intermission, and I would be dressed as a Vietnamese refugee, because I was in that big like procession that would come from the back of the house and cross the stage, and I would nurse my son in the lobby. That's my blooper.
That's it. That's your blooper.
That's
a good blooper.
That's a pretty good blooper, right?
Yeah. So, how about, interesting, every night I always get feedback from audiences, because I'm out there collecting coffee mugs and wine glasses and so on, Mm-hmm. So it's really kind of interesting. And I enjoy sort of staying connected with our audience,
Yeah.
So I like doing that. But how about you? Have you gotten any really interesting audience feedback?
I mean, the great thing about the Majestic is that you're always getting audience feedback, right?
You're getting it when you're on stage in the middle of a scene.
You better believe it. When I did Next to Normal, right? And the dance scene that you were talking about, which was probably, I think, the saddest moment in the show, right? Because they do this beautiful dance. And it's so sad. And she lets her son go, and she knows that he has died. And, I fall down on the ground, and I'm crying, and two women in the front row, just 2 feet away from me, say, "Oh, I wonder what she's gonna do now," which was pretty funny, and not, not in the moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If that's feedback, that's feedback.
Yeah, well, no, it is for sure. You don't recall any others?
No, I don't know. I think that, the greatest feedback that we get is that the audience is always so unbelievably appreciative. Like when out of town actors will come, and, we get a standing ovation, and we get standing ovations all the time at the Majestic, and that doesn't really happen at other theaters. And I don't know how many people I've said, like, well, this is the Majestic, like, they love it. They love us. And there is nothing better than, really like feeling that appreciation, and, working hard and knowing that it's appreciated.
Yeah.
And
talking about being an actor, and just, the nature of the theater and the space that you're working in, and how connected you really have to be to that audience.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no hiding.
No. And when I remember when I did my first show, when I did Spitfire, and I had worked, like, when I was in college, I had done some like studio theater productions, right? And so I had worked in close proximity to an audience before.
Yeah.
But there really is something different at the Majestic. when you're trying to make sure that you're taking in, up to the balcony, and you're really opening and aware, and there's no amount of like soft eyes that you can do that will keep you from really seeing people and seeing the way that people are engaged. And I mean, like Next to Normal, I will just never forget, seeing people like crying along with me when all of these terrible revelations are kind of happening. And it was really powerful. And that's something my husband is a film guy, and he'll say, but that's really a thing that you can't capture anywhere but in live theater, right? Is that communion between the actors and the audience. It's like
that's it exactly. That's our uniqueness,
Yes.
So,
yeah. I sure do miss it. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, a lot of people are missing it right now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully, our plan is to reopen January 9th, and then we're basically going to pick up with things right where we left off in the middle of the pitch.
Yep.
That's the plan at the moment.
Yep.
I think that phase 4 here in the state will kind of come about sooner than that, maybe, but we still have to wait for Actors Equity, which is the union for actors and stage managers, to kind of give all theaters the okay. I mean, they're just not going to allow their members to go to work unless they feel it's going to be safe to do so. So January 9th may be a little bit of an arbitrary date. We just don't know, but we're looking forward to getting back on there.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to coming and seeing it. I didn't get to see the pitch, so
and a lot of the things, I mean, I see you probably have too. I mean, we're doing some online content ourselves, and this show that we're doing right now, I mean, it's kind of fun, but it's a different it's a different approach, and lets our audiences meet the folks that they've seen on stage, and you see them in a different kind of light, not a character light, but in a real person sort of sense. And but I've also seen some quote dramatic things that have people have tried to do on Zoom, and I don't know, they're just not very inspiring.
I know. I was teaching an acting class in the spring when we went online. And in terms of that, right, in terms of working with these student actors, who are these really great kids who need theater in their academic day, right? It's like the moment where they can stop and breathe and play and have some human contact. It was really important to me that I made that work. And I think in that case, it did. It worked really well, because we were able to do just like you and I are doing. Like, you and I are having a conversation, and even though we're not in the same room together, I feel like we're totally talking to each other, because we are.
Sure. Yeah.
So for that, right, for my acting class and for these kids to feel connected to each other, thank God for this technology, because it was okay. It worked. But yeah, I am not particularly interested in like watching a Zoom production of a thing.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, it's hard to imagine what we'd be doing now if we didn't have this technology and we still have this pandemic we're having to deal with,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, here's another question from Donna Fitz. There it goes. How do you manage all you do and have that wonderful family? She's so nice, isn't she?
She is so nice. She is. Josie's in the other room, Donna. She might be asleep at this point. Josie's my baby. I don't know, man. I get asked this question a lot. And it's just like, what am I going to do? Not do theater? Like, what am I gonna do? I'm like not breathe. It sounds very, you know, whatever, but it's kind of true, you know. I think other moms, I don't know, go to the spa or something, you know, because you gotta. This is what I do.
That's a really great segue into this next kind of topic, you know. And well, you know, what kind of advice would you give to young people who aspire to, you know, joining this kind of crazy life that we enjoy?
Yeah. I don't know. I think that as long as you know that it really is work, it really is work. It is work, and sometimes it's hard, and a lot of times it's awesome, you know. But it is work, and it's really important that you know that when you're getting into it, and you know that it can take you lots of different places. You know, I have a cousin who's I'm the oldest. My parents were both the oldest in their big Irish Catholic families, and I have a lot, like 40 cousins. And I'm the oldest, and one of my cousins, who's, I don't think she's 30, she is a really spectacular performer. She's an unbelievable singer, and did the national tour of Beauty and the Beast, and just got off the national tour of South Pacific or Sound of Music, and, you know, is really incredible. And she's got her head really on straight, right? And she knew it was going to be work, and she made some really difficult choices when she was going to school. Like, she didn't go to school for theater, even though that's what she wanted. She went to school for music because she knew that was going to give her opportunities, right? And that might be the more difficult choice. It may not feel like the thing that you want to do, but sometimes that's what you have to do. Because although we're doing plays and we're telling stories, that doesn't mean that's what we're living in. Like, this is real life, and you got to work hard to get there. You know, I feel really incredibly lucky that I'm still doing this.
Yeah.
You know, and I work. When I want to do a show, I do a show. And when I want to do a show and I make money for it, I typically have that opportunity. And I have kids, and I have a job, and I'm lucky that my job affords me the opportunity to also do theater, you know. But that wasn't, I worked for that, you know. And it was a little bit of luck too. So, yeah. I mean, that would be my advice. Like, absolutely do it, but, you know why you're doing it, and know that it really is going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, I have to say, I do find that, you know, a lot of people are enchanted with the notion of being involved in the theater or being on stage, you know, and
sure.
You know, as soon as they find out about the amount of work that goes into it, you know, they kind of fall by the wayside.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, how are we doing? Carly, we got any more pictures up there? Are we gone through them all?
No, you know, I always hate to be the party pooper to tune in and say, you know, sorry guys, we're out of time, but I guess someone has to be the bad guy.
It is that time, right? Sue, thank you very
Sue,
much.
I want to thank you for being here. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was really great. Thanks for having me, Danny, as always.
Yeah, of course. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, folks, don't forget Mulan is streaming right now. And next week, my guest is Eric Castell, who's my buddy who's moved back to the area. He's originally from West Side, spent a lot of time out in the West Coast in Los Angeles. You folks will remember him, some of you old-timers, from visiting Mr. Green. And then last spring's, the opening show, the Tuna Goddess. And so he'll be my next guest. And then the week after that, Diamond Dave Madsen. You know, I was his first guest on his podcast, and so I corralled him, and he has to come and do Behind the Curtain with us. So Eric Castell coming up, and then Dave Mattson. So thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget, you can go to our website, and these things are all archived, and check any of them out. And we'll see you next week.